U.S. tennis tournament sets up rage room for players to let off steam amid calls for more privacy. Players have called for more privacy away from the court after Coco Gauff was filmed smashing her racket following her Australian Open loss last month. A WTA tournament in Texas has introduced a novel solution for player frustration, unveiling a rage room designed to offer a private outlet away from the cameras. This initiative follows a debate ignited last month when Coco Gauff's racket-smashing outburst at the Australian Open was unexpectedly broadcast worldwide. Shortly after her 59-minute quarterfinal defeat by Alina Svitolina at Melbourne Park, the American player repeatedly smashed her racket in the match call area, unaware that the moment was being aired to viewers globally. The incident prompted calls for greater off-court privacy from prominent figures such as Novak Djokovic and Iga Swiatek. Swiatek was particularly vocal with her criticism, as the former world number one compared the treatment of players to zoo animals. The question is, are we tennis players, or are we animals in the zoo where they are observed even when they poop, she asked, following her own quarterfinal exit at the Australian Open. In response, the ATX Open in Austin, Texas, has launched what it describes as a pioneering facility. Introducing the ATX Open Rage Room, the first of its kind, where players can privately express frustration or emotion in a safe, camera-free environment, the WTA 250 tournament announced across its social media platforms. The post also featured an image of a broken racket alongside a sign bearing the instructions, "Don't smile," and "Count to 3." While the online reaction to the ATX Open's innovation has been largely positive, some observers have questioned whether such a room might inadvertently encourage players to vent their frustrations physically. Meanwhile, organizers of the Dubai Tennis Championships have set up a Smash Room truck for fans this week, with Chinese player Shang Junqing invited to experience it in front of cameras. "I smashed a few items, including DVDs and big containers," Shang said. "It's loud and it's intense, but in a good way. You get everything out of your system in there instead of taking that frustration onto the court." Tennis breaking rackets or breaking barriers. At a time when elite athletes are increasingly expected to manage pressure with poise and grace, a Women's Tennis Association tournament in Austin, Texas has introduced a bold and literal response to stress. A rage room where players can smash, shout and vent their emotions without cameras or prying eyes. It's a surprising idea, and yet one that speaks directly to a growing tension in professional sports, when privacy meets performance, and how moments of very human frustration are captured, shared, and sometimes misunderstood by millions online. Camera with flash. The incident that sparked a debate. The inspiration for the rage room wasn't abstract. It came after a now viral moment at the Australian Open earlier this year, when Coco Gauff, fresh off a tough quarterfinal loss, smashed her racket in what she thought was a private area, only to discover her reaction was filmed and broadcast worldwide. To many fans, it was another dramatic moment in a sport known for passionate displays. To the players involved, it was a reminder that the line between public performance and private emotion is thinner than ever. Particularly after a loss, when an athlete walks away from the court, they're still in a state of heightened emotion, the disappointment of defeat, the sting of unmet expectations, and the raw energy that comes with giving so much of yourself on a global stage. When such moments are inadvertently captured and then replayed, it raises questions. Should those raw human reactions be broadcast? Or do players deserve real privacy once the match is over? Woman-bowing players speak out. "We're not zoo animals." In the immediate aftermath of Gauff's racket-smashing incident, several top players publicly called for increased privacy in tournament spaces. Players like Iga Swiatek made pointed remarks about feeling constantly watched, likening the experience to being animals in a zoo, under observation even beyond the court. That imagery, respected athletes reduced to perpetual public performance, resonated deeply within the tennis community. Tennis is a sport steeped in tradition and decorum, yet it's also intensely individual. Players spend years refining not only their technique but also how they manage their emotional landscape during competition. Yet when every glance, frown, or outburst can be captured and spread instantly, it adds another layer of performance pressure, this time off the court. Brain the Rage Room. A new kind of sanctuary. Enter the ATX Open's Rage Room, a first in professional tennis. Designed as a camera-free, private space, it allows players to express frustration or emotional tension safely and confidentially, without fear that it will be live-streamed or turned into viral content. Inside this room, athletes can break objects, such as old rackets, without being filmed, scream or shout into a space free of microphones and lenses, collect themselves before returning to media obligations or the public eye. The room is not a gimmick. It's a carefully thought-out response to the psychological demands of elite sport, an acknowledgement that athletes, like everyone else, sometimes need a safe outlet for stress that isn't part of their training regimen. Even the signage shared by the tournament, with instructions like "Don't smile" and "Count to 3", reflects an understanding that emotional regulation is a process, not a punchline. Thought balloon: why this matters more than you think. We live in an era where player reactions, good or bad, are commodified. A furrowed brow, eye roll, or slammed racket can be clipped, captioned, and shared in seconds. For athletes, there's no off-camera. This constant visibility can erode the boundary between performance and personhood, especially in moments of vulnerability. A few reasons this initiative feels meaningful. Shield 1. It prioritizes mental well-being. Journalists and coaches often talk about physical training and strategy, but mental health is an equally crucial part of an athlete's performance. Providing a private space to vent acknowledges that frustration and disappointment are normal human responses, not faults to be hidden. Glowing Star 2. It respects athletes' autonomy. By offering a space away from cameras and social media feeds, the tournament gives players the dignity of emotional processing, a rare space where their feelings are not content for consumer entertainment. Man Running 3. It redefines what professionalism looks like. Traditionally, athletes have been told to keep it together, to smile for cameras, stay composed in defeat, and return to the public spotlight quickly. The Rage Room flips the script. It says it's okay to feel, to release, and to regroup before facing the world again. Thinking face: is there controversy? Not everyone has greeted the Rage Room with unqualified enthusiasm. Some commentators have raised questions about whether encouraging players to physically break things could inadvertently normalize aggressive reactions or act as a distraction from other coping strategies.